So we now have a little app that kind of moves around. But what we need to do next is we need to add in something that's very integral to SpriteKit, and that is adding in actions, or specifically SKActions or SpriteKit actions. So let's make the player do something. So let's call this player action. All right. And we're not only going to talk about how to do things, but we're going to talk about the philosophy behind the engine, because a lot of times with different engines, there's a philosophy to how to get things done. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll add in, when we touch on touches began, we'll say player action. All right. And so that means when we touch, the player action will get called. So let's go ahead and let's fade out the player here. So we'll say and we need to add in a constant here. So we set up our action. So right now we're going to set up an action where we wait for a specific amount of duration. So we're going to say SKAction dot wait for duration, and we're going to wait for a duration of 1.5 seconds. So we'll wait, as soon as we click, we'll wait 1.5 seconds. And then can set up another action. And you can set up as many actions as you want. We're going to set up 2 in this tutorial, but you could set up 5, 10, or whatever. Let's go ahead and let's add in this fade out. And we'll say fade out is equal to SKAction dot fade. And I'm just going to type in fade because there's several different options here. You can fade alpha by, you can fade alpha to, you can fade in or fade out. Let's just do fade out because it's the simplest one. And we'll take 2 seconds to fade out. We now need to bundle these actions together in a sequence. So I like to just put in sequence is equal to SKAction.sequence. And if you look at this very carefully, there is a square bracket. And that square bracket signifies that we are going to be using an array. So let's add in that square bracket. We'll wait, then fade out. Then we need to run this action. Now we need to specify the exact action that we're going to work with this here. So we're going to say player dot run action, and we're going to say SKAction dot run action. The action we're going to run is the sequence and and we'll say repeat action. Actually, it's dot repeat action. We're going to repeat the sequence by a total of 1 time. All right. So if we run that now, watch what happens. When we click, it's going to wait 1.5 seconds and fade out. Right? And look at that, the player does indeed fade out. Now, can we do the same thing with the label? The answer is absolutely. Let's go to LBL main dot run action, and we're going to make it SKAction dot repeat action. We're going to repeat the sequence a total of 1 time. I just use the arrow keys to close off the brackets. It's a productivity tip that I love to do. So let's take a look at this. So if I click it, right, remember these both kind of fade out. That works out really well. So you can see here that we now have 2 actions that we put in. We bundled those actions and then we ran the actions. All right, that's the way that SKActions work. That's the way SpriteKit works. So the thing is that what happens if you wanted to do something a little bit different with the LBL main? Well, we could do that. Let's go ahead and let's fade in the LBL main. So let's go to function. We'll call it fade in label. And what we'll do here is we'll say let wait, and we'll wait for duration here. So SKAction dot wait for duration, and we'll wait a total of 1.0 seconds. Then we'll say let fade in is equal to SKAction dot fade in. And well, let's have it have a slow fade in, something like 4 seconds. And you'll actually figure out how long 4 seconds is after this. We're going to add in a sequence. We're going to say let sequence is equal to SKAction dot sequence. And you're probably wondering, why are we typing this out again? And I will get to that in just a second. We'll say fade in, and what we'll do is we'll go to LBL main dot run action. We're going to go to SKAction.repeatAction, and we're going to repeat the sequence a total of 1 time. Okay, let's go and let's fade in the label. And on the start here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to LBL main dot alpha is equal to 0. So we have to fade it in from something, and the alpha will make it completely transparent. And remember, computers run the code line by line, so it'll run the alpha first and then the fade and label. And there you go. You can see that it fades in, and I think that's really cool. And as soon as we click, you can see that this fades out. Very neat. Now, this is 2 actions with 2 different objects. And you're probably wondering, why can we use wait in these situations? Won't the computer get confused? Well, whenever you declare a variable or constant within curly brackets, you can only use it within the curly brackets. So what I'm saying is that this wait is different from this wait. And lots of computer programmers like to do this. So the short answer with this is that in SpriteKit you will be typing out some code that is a bit repetitious. Specifically this one right here. You have to set up your actions that you want to do in a specific case, and then you have to bundle that in a sequence, and then you can go and run the action. Okay? Now, there is other ways to do this. Like with programming, there are other ways to do this. However, this is my favorite way of doing that, and I find it's the easiest way to comprehend for most people, and it's the easiest way to kind of get your idea across. So if you've ever taken, let's say, a creative writing class, you'll know that you have to get your ideas across to the reader as easily as possible. From a coding point of view, this is very similar. For every independent action that you want to do, you'll set up its own kind of function to do that. Now, it could get a bit verbose, and SpriteKit, by definition, is a little bit more verbose than other languages. However, this way, you can set up as many actions as you want, and you can set up the sequences as much as you want. Now, the other thing you can do is you want to minimize the amount of actions that you can use. And so that works the way with, first of all, mobile games, because mobile games are not like console games, or they're not like computer games. They're actually a lot simpler by design, and by adding in this specific functionality, it actually makes everything a little bit more mobile friendly, because you want to use your actions sparingly. Okay, so this is just one example of SKAction, and there are many examples which I'll show you in the next tutorial.